He's been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin. And I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're gonna get it ended. So I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the President to say a few words. Thank you, President.
Pleasure. Glad to meet you again, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did it, and I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that, yes, we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war, and we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses, and in economy and people, and I think this is a very important moment. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls. Yesterday I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies, and they're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our infrastructure, Russian attacks, and etc. And I had also meetings, thanks to your team. We had meetings with a good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it after with details where we are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Very good. And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful. I hope people notice. It's a good. It's actually very stylish. I like it.
President Trump.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Under the Biden administration, the White House was fearing of a possible escalation. They were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of this escalation.
Yeah.
Would your administration allow Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia?
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President.
Will President Zelensky join you in Hungary to meet President Putin?
Because it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. Done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and I think he'll be a very good host.
President Trump. President Trump. President Trump. Right here. President Trump.
Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
With Putin, is it a trilateral meeting, or is it just you and Putin?
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have the President, Zelensky, in touch. There's a lot of bad blood with the two presidents, and I'm not speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation. You know, we just settled the war, and after thousands of years, I guess. People say anywhere from 500 to 3,000 years, and I was in rooms, as you saw, because you were with me, a lot of you were with me last week, with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along. These two leaders do not like each other, and we want to make it comfortable for everybody. So one way or the other, we'll be involved in threes, but it may be separated.
President Trump. Mr. President. President Trump.
doesn't agree to peace in Hungary?
Was he what?
What if President
Where are you
Putin-
from?
From Ukraine. You actually had a
Okay,
conversation
good.
with me
Good,
in The
yeah.
Hague. What if President Putin doesn't agree to peace in Hungary? What do you do then? Do you have
Well, let's see what
satisfied for
happens.
that?
I mean, you know, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
President Trump, Kara Castronova from Lindell TV, and although I love asking you questions, today my question is for President Zelensky
Sure.
of Ukraine.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Our President Zelensky, President Trump, just brokered a peace deal in the Middle East that all Americans, both sides of the aisle, are very proud of. But to meet that deal, both sides had to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways to make a peace deal for your war as well. What specific concessions are you willing to make to end this war with Russia? Will you give up joining NATO? Americans have foreign war fatigue, and our president, as he said, we need our tomahawks too.
To me.
Yes, you,
Okay.
President Zelensky.
Thank you
What
very much.
concessions will you
That's some question, right?
So
That's
many
all right.
questions
Thank you.
in one. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I think we need to sit and speak. The second point, we need ceasefire. Even now, you see in the Middle East, it's very difficult to hold ceasefire. Everywhere, in every war, it's very difficult. We want peace. Putin doesn't want. That's why we need pressure on him. We will speak with President today what we need. We understand what we need to push Putin to negotiation table. And as I said previously, so we are ready to speak in any kind of format, bilateral, trilateral, doesn't matter. Matter just peace. This is important. And we don't speak about NATO or NATO. For Ukrainians, it's very important. Of course, it's our decision, decisions of allies to decide where we are.
But are you willing to give up
Yes, but
joining
the
NATO?
most important thing for people in Ukraine, which are under each day's attacks, to have really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best, but weapon is very important. Allies on our side is very important. And between us, for us, bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important. I don't know, we didn't speak with details about it, but this is the most important document because United States is very strong.
Sir, President Trump,
Peter?
President Trump, you are the middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict. Who is doing a better job negotiating, President Zelensky or President Putin?
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to take some of the hatred of each other. You know, they don't like each other. I say that in front of President Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. They have tremendous bad blood. It's really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done, and we have to make it long-lasting. As I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting. And the Middle East is a much more complicated situation. You know, we had 59 countries involved, and every one of them agreed. And it's, you know, it's sort of amazing. Most people didn't think that was doable. This is going to be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
And President
Said that last time.
President
Peter?
Zelensky, right behind you.
Said that
When we
last
were in
time.
Israel with President Trump earlier in the week, we heard a lot about the difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Joe Biden before him. What do you see as the biggest difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Biden?
President Trump has a big chance now to finish this war. President Biden now is not the president, so he doesn't have a chance to finish this war. And President Trump is really showed for the world that he can manage ceasefire in Middle East, and that's why I hope that he will do this, and we will also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big chance, and I hope that President Trump can manage it.
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
Mr. President.
Sir, a few weeks ago in New York, when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of
You
swap
never
of
know. Look,
territories?
you know, war is very interesting. You never know, do you? You just never know. With war and peace, but you never know. Please.
Russia calls Tomahawk supply to Ukraine as an escalation, yet it continues using similar cruise missiles like Caliber and
Yeah.
even...
Who are you with? Who are you with? You Ukraine?
Yeah. But Russia continue even using the cruise missiles and also nuclear-capable ballistic missiles in Ukraine since 2022. So do you consider providing Ukraine with the Tomahawk or similar missiles as an opportunity to equalize the possibilities of Ukraine and Russia and push Moscow to the negotiation
Yeah.
table?
Sure. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here. Okay? Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it. But we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
Told who to say it.
India and Hungary who
What?
still refuse.
You said India and Hungary? That's an
India
interesting.
and Hungary
India and
refusing
Hungary.
to
It's an
stop
interesting
buying-
combination.
refuse to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore. And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are, you know, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. You know, they're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. And they've already de-escalated and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil, and they won't be doing it anymore.
Mr. President, Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in Ukraine.
Who has?
First Lady Melania Trump
Yeah.
has been helping in returning abducted Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in and to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She felt very strongly about the children, and she's done a really good job, I think, in bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000, and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
President Trump, if you okay Tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the Tomahawks? Do we have enough?
That's a problem. We need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, you know, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. You know, we need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. And one of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say,
Yeah, please.
just to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just Tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production, and the United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
And so just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade. If President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch
Yes, it's
into
about
Russia,
military goals. It's
then you
only
would
about
let-
military goals.
Right, but then you would authorize some kind of an exchange where
Yes, of course.
the U.S. gets
Yes, we have
Ukrainian-
proposition. Yeah,
And
we have big proposition
President-
with our drones.
President
Yeah.
Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. You know, we knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So, it's, you know, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, well, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about Tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need Tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people. Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. I mean, mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
President Trump says he might be able to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, but his new strategy is telling both countries to...
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for the United States to just up in all the Tomahawk missiles, but you're not going to convince me that Tomahawk missiles, you know, you're set. Probably had the most strongest military we're set. I wanted to cover a Jubilee, but if I do a Jubilee, it's going to ban.
This current president is the one who brought the case to the Supreme Court, and Chief Justice Roberts made clear in his opinion that a sitting president's responsibilities in office cannot lead to prosecution, immunity. So what is it the President Trump wants regarding President Obama, given that fact? And the special counsel at the time, Durham, when that Supreme Court matter was not in effect, could have charged anyone and did not. So on those 2 points, how do you respond?
Look, the president has made it clear that he wanted these documents to be declassified. He wanted the American people to see the truth, and now he wants those who perpetuated these lies in this scandal to be held accountable. As for what accountability looks like, as the director said, it's in the Department of Justice's hands, and we trust them to move this ball forward.
Well, you would agree President Obama cannot be charged based on that immunity.
Again, I'll leave that to the Department of Justice.
This current president.
Question. Because if I do that, it's just gonna... I don't know how to deal with this bullshit, because it's... Every other thing will get my fucking shit copied straight. I really don't.
I gotta tell you, I was actually pretty shocked when I saw this, that what the Secretary of Defense did, and it was largely unseen by most people, what he wore in front of Zelensky, I thought was just so telling. And Ben Shapiro is finally speaking up against his own party. It's kind of fascinating to see. I do think we're probably in a space where in about a year or two, Ben Shapiro is probably going to become an independent. I don't think he can stay in MAGA for much longer. I'm going to show you why. And it's all because of stuff like this, where this is after the fact that leaked text messages from the Political Report that came out last week, where this is
Davis, George Soros' house slave? Okay. Mike Lawler, disgraceful New York Republicans, and Elise Stefanik have been calling around with these racist, anti-Semitic, bigoted younger. Okay. Yeah. George Soros house slave. This is stupid. This is the dumb shit I be talking about. It's like these Republicans, they just so fucking voted now. They can say whatever they want and face zero consequences, especially on Elon Musk Twitter. Get away with pretty much murder. You ask me. That's
bodies.
Because it's the first question of our debate, sir, and that's where we're beginning. Why don't I hand it over to Hussein and see what's your take on it? Do you think it's a failing on Hamas, or do you think that Norman has a very valid point there?
Yeah, of course, if you sign on a deal wherein you commit to do something, it's advisable that you do it. And this is on both sides. If the Israelis kept their part of the bargain, I think it's only logical for Hamas to keep their part of the bargain. But that really doesn't concern me. I think sooner or later, Hamas will find these bodies. They'll probably surface and they'll probably hand them back to the Israelis. What concerns me, and this is from a point of view of someone on the Arab side, is the brutality that Hamas is showing even before the ink has, even before it's done with its part of the deal with Israel, that they're going after rivals inside of Gaza, killing them, executing them, cold-bloodedly, on camera. That's what worries me. I think, that part of the deal with Israel, I think the whole world is behind it. The whole world is focused on it. Everyone knows what's going on. But no one is focused on these Palestinians who are being shot dead, even though over the past 2 years, the world was really angry at Palestinians losing their lives in this war. But all of a sudden, these hapless Palestinians seem to be killed with no one worried about it. Even President Trump said, I'm okay with that. It doesn't worry me. The only statement that I saw came from Bradley Cooper, the chief of CENTCOM, who said this is not okay and Hamas should stop doing it. But I don't think that's flying. I don't think Hamas is really listening to anyone. And as this goes on, I think, that's what really worries me more than, the rest of the deal between Hamas and Israel.
I can see you shaking your head there.
America's winning,
I'm sorry, I'm
winning
not
like
being
never before.
ADHD right
We
now.
got the hostages back. The most challenging breakthrough.
Big game. Thank you for lending your cachet and your credibility.
Takes place in the binary system, and you're asking the American people to choose a side. Whoever chooses the opposite side of you is an excuse for your vitriol to permeate. And we can't have that, because ultimately it's going to lead to an absence of peace, which is going to lead to chaos. And that's not going to get America anywhere. We're going to be celebrating what's going on in other places throughout the world. But at some point in time, we need to be appalled at the fact that we're not celebrating more about what's going on here.
Well said, and congratulations. Bill did not cut you off. Very good. We have a great streak. Mr. O'Reilly, when you look at where we are, what matters to you to address?
Well, first of all, I put together the Three Americans concept. This is an offshoot of the Three Americans concept. And I wanted Cuomo and Smith to be part of it because together they make me look much smarter. All right? So it's purely selfish. The country is in a change mode. We're in flux. Everything's changing. Economy's changing. Social mores are changing. Media is collapsing right before our eyes. And my job as a independent is to bring some understanding to it all. See, I'm not that concerned about the polarization and the back and forth. There are lines that need to be drawn and adhered to. But that's always been the case. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, oh, gee, they hate each other. And they would use surrogates to just knife, and it's always going to be that way. Because the pursuit of power is like the pursuit of money. All right? You can't get enough. They can't get enough. And if there's somebody trying to inhibit their power, they want to hurt them. They want to diminish them. So I'm realistic in the sense of being a historian to know that's not going to change. But what has to change is your understanding of really what's happening, really what's going on here. And that's why News Nation is so valuable, because the others play to a choir. They play to a certain segment of the population. They tell them every night what they want to hear, because you can make easy money doing that. All right? But News Nation doesn't do that. It wants everybody to look in and decide who's got the stronger argument. Now, when I started Fox, that's what the philosophy was, but that's changed a bit. And the reason all of it has changed is because of Donald Trump. He's so overwhelming, his presence is so massive that he dominates every news cycle, and everything that happens that he does is blown up into this colossal debate between the progressive left and the conservative right. And if you think back, George W. Bush wasn't even close to that. Barack Obama was a little polarizing, but he didn't want to be. It was just, you know, but it wasn't close. Biden was taking a nap, so nobody knew what he was talking about. But then Trump comes on, and just, it's like, boom, you're just pinned to your seat. But you got to understand the why of what he is doing, and the other power brokers as well.
The one thing that I would say is this. You can understand the why. Bill's absolutely right. But the times that we're living in, those past presidents, you talk about the advent of social media, the reach that you can have as a candidate, as an elected official, the way that decisions, perspectives can be disseminated to a point where it can influence so many lives and cause a fervor. That's different than it was in the past. And when Bill brings up the media, he's absolutely right from this perspective. There's absolutely positively no excuse for a member of the media, I'm talking about a journalist, to take a side. The facts are the facts. Like, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not the biggest fan of how he behaves. But the fact is that if he's done a good job, give him credit for doing a good job. If he's done a good job here, fine. If he hasn't done a good job there, fine. Call it as you see it, because you have to make sure that the public at large is able to look at you and say that I trust that you believe what you're saying you believe, and that it's based on factual information and not your personal feelings or personal animus. And when you do that, then you galvanize the American people, because they're going to say, okay, I can trust you. And as a result, there won't be a dissipation or a diminished level of trust in the media. What has happened to the media is that, unfortunately, too many people are looking to say things just to be saying things, just to have a particular side, because it gets them paid. Well, guess what? It's damaging to the country. And I think that you have an obligation to think about the country more than you're thinking about just yourself when you are a member of the media, or you have the kind of influence that media is supposed to have. That level of sensitivity is required for any conscientious soul that has the interests of the American people ahead of themselves.
Appreciate it. All right, there was one person I felt we had to have tonight, all right? First issue has to be the shutdown, right? Embarrassing. The only thing you can count on is that whoever is driving it is saying that they had to do it this time, and the other side is saying you shouldn't weaponize it this way. And they just go back and forth, and it makes you not like anybody. The man in the middle, the man I believe is the most important senator in the country right now, is Pennsylvania's John Fetterman, because he is, maybe because of his size, able to hold on to what he believes are his principles. And he could be the deciding vote. Remember, this isn't about the House, it's about the Senate. And we are fortunate enough to have Senator John Fetterman joining us right now. Senator, Pennsylvania. Move down. Just gonna move it down there. We'll put this. All right. Senator gets situated. Bill, find your seat.
I didn't hear the music.
No, you're all right.
Isn't there music?
All right. Bill's
Then it
lost.
stops and you get a chair.
Bill's lost. Where's Spencer? Get him up here. Sit him down. All right, there we go. All right, everything's fine again. Senator, thank you for joining us. Stephen A., what do you have for the senator?
Was there a dress code?
No, sir.
I missed that.
No, sir. We don't play that here. Not at your size.
Okay, yeah.
Two-part question. Number one, when the hell is the shutdown going to end? And number two, who's most culpable for the shutdown taking place to begin with?
What, the shutdown? I think right now I'm only one of two Democrats that are voting to keep the government open. And I have chose to do that because I think it's like a core responsibility as a senator to keep our government open. The Democratic Party, my party, the Republican Party, they have different priorities. And that's how democracy, you sort those things out. But you don't hold shutting the government down as a hostage.
Why are you a Democrat, though? And I don't say that being a wise guy. You support Israel, correct?
Yeah, well, okay. I do, and that's been isolating too.
All right, but look, you support Israel, and the progressives don't, generally speaking. You are
comes
for a
Bill
very
O'Reilly.
rigorous defense against Putin in Ukraine, correct? You want to stop him, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I would fully support. In fact, I just on social media encourage President Trump to provide tomahawks to the Ukrainians.
Okay.
I mean, it's like he is probably the only person in the world that could end this terrible war. And I think why can't we all agree that that's necessary?
You're not a wild spender. You want to get the debt under control. So why are you Democrat? Because your party is against you on all three of those issues.
Well, I mean, a lot of the things that maybe I really believe in calling
Bill O'Reilly hates the fucking Democrats. Like, he just hates them.
balls and strikes, and I think I want to follow the truths. You know, and
Why aren't you an independent then?
Well, I mean, those are some independent thoughts, but overall, I mean, you have to pick one side, Republican, Democrat. That's always been my party. And
Bernie's
Bill, let me just say, it's like I'm the only Democrat in my family. I grew up in a conservative part of Pennsylvania, and I grew up and I know and I love people that voted for President Trump, but they are not fascists. They're not Nazis. They're not trying to destroy the Constitution and those things. And that's part of another thing. I refuse to call.
To be clear, if you voted for Donald Trump, you voted for fascism. I myself probably won't call you a fascist because you've probably been duped. But if you voted for Donald Trump, you are you supported a fascist. And I think he's going to go that route by saying that this is not a fascist system.
People, Nazis or fascists, or I would never compare anybody to Hitler and those things. And now that kinds of extreme rhetoric is going to continue. We're going to be more likely in resulting in extreme kind of outcomes and political violence and doing all these kinds of things like Charlie Kirk. For me, all I could say is like, let people grieve.
Oh no, he's gonna cook. I know exactly what he's gonna do. Like I can understand calling people Hitler. Like I wouldn't do it either. You shouldn't call anybody Hitler's a heinous individual. I don't think there can be but Hitler was also a fascist, and you can call a fascist a fascist. A fascist doesn't care who you are. It's just what you are. Fascist is what you are.
The space. I'm not going to use that terrible thing and that Pasek assassination to make my argument and try to put out my views. It's like, my God, you know, he's a father that had his neck blown out by a bullet. And now people have forgotten. President Trump was in my state, was shot in the head. And if that would have, could you imagine where our nation would be if he was hit in the same way with Kirk? We really got to turn the temperature down. And we can agree to disagree on these kinds of things. But right now, shutting down the government, I just can't take it that.
So what do the Democrats, your contemporaries, say to you when you say that to them?
What do I say to them is like...
No, what do they say to you when you say that?
What do they say to me?
Yes.
Yeah, well, parts of my base are angry with me.
No.
And primarily, which is really strange, run the numbers. I vote, I think, 90% plus Democrat, but they're angry, and it's like, but I, with my base, very, very angry about me being fully, unapologetically supportive for Israel. And that really pushed that. I've backed Israel through this entire thing. Now, of course, it's heartbreaking in the tragedy in Gaza and what's happened to the innocent Palestinians. Now, for me, I blame Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah and some other people. They'll believe Israel, and I refuse to do that.
It is a problem again. It's like you can do that, but there's also some history that you have to acknowledge. Why don't anybody just do that? Just go back in history. Just acknowledge that there is a fucking past. You can be upset about October the 7th. You can say, hey, Israel has a right to defend itself. I think Israel has a right to defend itself, but you have to understand the history. There's shit that happened before October the 7th that was only a precursor to what happened that fucking day, which was a bad thing to me. Like, we can't, I think that's what people get caught up in. It's like you just see the one side. You see bad people, but you don't see this fucking terroristic government, the IDF. You don't see what they're doing. You just let it slide because it's like, oh, they're defending themselves. No, at this point, they're genociding 20,000 kids. So no, that's like, I think that's one of those topics you can't just be like, you know. Yeah.
Let's get an audience question. Barian, please. Where are you from, and what is your question for the senator?
Good evening, gentlemen. Great to see you again. Darian Roget from the great state of New Jersey. Drove down just to see you guys. I saw you guys at Westbury in Long Island on the Three Americans tour, thanks to Bill a few months ago. Pleasure to be here. So my question is about the leaderless, rudderless, dilapidated state of the Democratic Party at the moment. And I can say this as a Republican, I'm elated by that, but I also believe we do need two robust political parties in this country, at least. So do you think the Democratic Party will eventually moderate a la Bill Clinton circa 1992 and find a political third way eventually by the time of the 2028 presidential election? Or, on the other hand, do you think they continue down the sort of where the energy of the party is, right? The far left, AOC, Zohran Mamdani-esque trajectory nationally, and which, in my opinion, you know, is doubling down on stupid and on the issues that cost them the 2024 election, and continue as the—
I don't like his fucking hair.
Gus Bill O'Reilly would say, continue being pinheads. So that's my question.
Excellent question, but I want the senator to answer. Do you see any moderation of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party?
The question,
you see
the
it.
question was for the.
Yeah, well, I mean,
by the way, Bill, so you know, I know he called you August, but the
You hear
question,
something?
the
If someone's
question
talking-
was for the senator.
My
right?
earpiece isn't working.
Yeah.
Who is this? I don't even know who he is.
Please lean back. Go ahead, Senator.
Well, you know, if you're thinking about winning the election, you know, and so now that's all going to come down to 7 or 8 states. And that's really that matters. And I would like to remind everybody, because we all know that Trump ran the table, all of those kinds of states. And now you can't ever forget, these are the states that are going to determine who's going to be the next administration. And now a lot of the things, the extremism that people turned their back in 24, and that's how we kind of came up short. I mean, you know, I campaigned for thousands of miles across Pennsylvania for Vice President Harris. And it was going to be incredibly difficult. You could just feel the energy there. And people really have connected there at a very fundamental level. And that's what I tried to explain to my party. And I'm trying to explain to the party right now. It's like, this is why we lost. And this is where we need to be to continue to win for these things. And there are parts of extreme things emerging clearly on those things. And that's why I refuse to follow that, even if that is going to cost me support in parts of the base.
Do you think Harris could have gotten a deal with Hamas?
Well, I mean, you know, you brought up a good point. I think I was the only Democrat early on to give President Trump credit for the peace deal. Why wouldn't you?
Do you think Harris could have gotten it?
Well, again, I don't know. She's not the president. But where I'm at right now, it's like, ask any of the hostages or their families. They think President Trump was a hero and he deserves, you know, the kind of deal for that thing. I think that was really a remarkable development.
Do you think Harris could have got him out?
No. Bro, yo, somebody asked Stephen A. Smith why. Why? You're gonna ask Stephen A. Smith why, or he was gonna let it slide. Why does he think Kamala Harris wouldn't be able to make it? Why is
I think it's a silly question.
It's a what?
I think it's a silly question.
Wait. Do you agree that it's a silly question?
That's why they're clapping. They're clapping because they.
Security. Right here.
I think the most important point is just realizing.
So wait, let me get this straight. 1 pop, 2 pop, 3 pop, and he's not going to answer. But the other 3 pops are making a baseless claim that Kamala Harris wouldn't be able to seal the deal. I can only think because she's a woman. Let's be fucking for real. Donald Trump used the same exact plan to seal this deal or to create a peace deal that Biden had already laid out. The difference in this time, he had Congress to back him up. There was no fight back. There was no pushback. There was no this, there was no that. If this was Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, I swear to goodness that the whole entire Congress would have been split still, because Republicans are arrogant assholes who have to have it their way. They have to be the ones to save the day. They are the ones that have to do X, Y, and Z. So the fucking fact that these 3 numbskulls can't even fucking admit that, you have no idea what Kamala Harris would have done. As a matter of fact, they should be eating fucking crow, because Kamala Harris predicted everything that we're going through.
Who did it? Not hypothetically or anything. I'm saying it's like, here's what happened. And there are actual members of my party that have refused to even acknowledge that this was significant. You know, and that's for me, where it's like, hey, you know, our politics might be different, but this was a significant development. Okay. And now,
I don't think. Do you understand why? Does he understand why people think that it's insignificant? While yes, you have to take the deal. If you're Hamas, you have to take it. If it's truly to stop the bloodshed, you have to take the deal. But look at the deal. It's heavily one-sided. That's the thing. This is what Israel does. Israel comes in, destroys shit. The rest of the world comes in and tries to stop it. Israel, when it's all said and done, Israel's given shit. So this happens every fucking time. I don't think this is what history just fucking eludes people.
Also, it's what Israel was able to accomplish. You know, they had to neutralize Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis and Iran. And also another thing, the Iranian nuclear facilities. I mean, like I was
They
the
had
only
a
Democrat that
genocide.
supported you have to destroy those facilities. Can you imagine if they didn't, Iran could be acquiring a nuclear bomb, you know.
Let's also point out, I'm sorry I keep pausing it, but this fucking, just the misinformation or at least the half-truths annoy the fuck out of me. And I now understand why his colleagues probably shun him because he's a fucking idiot. You have to also bring in the potential that there's no fucking proof that Iran was building nuclear weapons. This has been something that Bibi Netanyahu's been trying to get the United States to do for what, like decades now? Decades? No proof, no nukes. We sent our own intelligence in there. Our own intelligence director, Tulsi Gabbard, says, "Hey, Mr. President, there's no proof, no evidence that Iran is trying to build nuclear weapons." He tells his own fucking national intelligence director, "You're fucking wrong," and then believes a foreign government. You want to tell me he doesn't have this? You want to tell me Bibi doesn't have his fucking hand up Trump's ass?
Who knows within the next year?
Let me say this. Out of respect to Kamala Harris, let me tell you why she deserves an explanation as to why I don't think she could have gotten it done. Because leading into the election, what was the problem? It was extreme capitulation to the progressive left, who were finding reasons to side with, I don't want to say siding with Hamas. I certainly don't want to accuse them of that. But it just seemed like whatever they wanted, the left that wasn't far left was leaning more left. And so because of that, why should we believe that all of a sudden she'd get into office and she'd forget what she thought got her there? That's the only reason I'm saying that. Having said that, I'd like to get back.
Hey, can we ask? Can't ask it because no one's going to ask Stephen A. Smith for the war in Gaza when she was on. This is what I'm talking about. You don't have to like. You don't understand it, but you're not going to convince me that Stephen A. isn't looking at this from the perspective of what a black woman could or could not be. So this is just, it's baseless. It's a baseless fucking claim.
The person that asked the question, and I'd like to remind them that's part of the problem, respectfully, when you're calling them pinheads and going through all of this other stuff. See, that kind of name calling feeds into things.
Yeah, but he did it in a funny way.
Let me explain yeah, it's a funny way. Malice. I didn't say he was malice. I didn't say there was malice. What I'm saying is that you have to take into consideration how the other side is going to react to it. When I think about the Democrats right now, you ask the question as to what change is going to take place. Will they change? Could they ever change? Well, a lot of that depends on the midterm election. If they lose the midterm election, they'll change. They got no choice if they want to have a shot in 2028. If they don't, they get blitzed like they did in 2024, then guess what? It's going to incentivize them to change. So it all depends on the midterm election.
Did you hear what he said about the Mets? Come on, you're crucifying them. So if
I didn't crucify him. He and I just waved at each other.
No,
he didn't crucify. The only person that's using that word is you.
If you feel that the other side, with the other team or whatever, and I want to get your opinion on this, is doing something bad for the country, then you go after them, right?
Yeah, well, it's like that's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party, and it's the wrong thing for the country in a period.
Well, is this Democratic congressman or senator stating that the Democrats want the government to shut down, and it's not Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer that's been trying to get these fucking Republicans or conservatives out there fucking houses and Mar-a-Lago and the golf courses and their fucking swimming pools and their fucking mansions to come to the fucking table and negotiate? Why is it that only when the Republicans are in power, there's no room for negotiation? But when the Democrats are in power, they always invite the Republicans to the table and ask them, "Hey, what do you think about this? Let's come to a common." So the fact that those four buffoons could sit on this fucking stage and pretend like there's some sort of comparison here, it's crazy. It's just this whole fucking thing is bad faith. It's annoying.
Period of chaos, I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have.
The fucking vote doesn't matter. Nobody wants the fucking government to shut down. The only people that want the government to shut down is the fucking conservatives. The Republicans want it to shut down. That's it. Like, literally, we want the fucking shit up. That's what they're marching for. Part of the No Kings protest. The President of the United States is using the shutdown to fire federal employees. He's doing this. That's what he's doing. It's strategic. This is not something he didn't make this up out of his fucking ass. This shit is annoying because it's like it almost feels paid. Like it's almost feel like he's paid to say this shit. Like it's so stupid.
I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care, absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken from by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. Now let's have a conversation to extend it.
Oh, you fucking idiot. That's why you need to come to the table so you can renew it. It could be renewed, but you have to talk. You can't just do shit. I can't just allow Netflix. I have to actually go inside of my Netflix and make sure there's money. I have to go pay for it. I have to go negotiate whatever I got to do to make sure that my Netflix subscription is renewed. I can't just expect it to happen. It expires every fucking month. I have to make sure that I'm able to fucking pay for that. There's action that is required. I want to keep Netflix, therefore I'm going to go and make sure that I have the funds to pay for it. Like, it's just so fucking trying now. I'm trying to be like more so like a lot more calm. But this is what this type of shit that bothers me. And it's annoying. Because like these these are my senators. These are the elected officials. They're sitting here and they're not even pushing back on a little bit of misinformation. Because he sits there and he doesn't give a fuck. He's not paying attention. He doesn't understand why his own constituents are pissed off at him. He doesn't understand why his own colleagues are pissed off at him. Because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to know.
And not shut our government down, and let's continue to have.
Food has already agreed to that.
Well, I mean,
you know that.
Well, for me, I do believe Leader Thune.
Look at it. He can't even look straight. Like he knows he's fucking lying. Like he knows he's lying. The Democrats are not keeping this fucking shit shut down. The Republicans are keeping it shut down. Mike Johnson is keeping it shut down. They can fix this shit tomorrow. Go to the fucking table, sit down and negotiate. One of the fucking biggest fucking challenges, they believe that the fucking undocumented immigrants are getting fucking medical care, federal health care, right? Medicaid, free Medicaid going to undocumented. That's the fucking holdup. Let's be so fucking for real. That's the fucking holdup, and we all know that it's not. That's
is an honorable man, and I do believe he's not going to lie. I mean, you can't guarantee any outcome, but what I'm saying is that's talking about what's wrong for the country. I can't vote for thing. I can't vote to shutting our government down.
I think that you guys have the right fight, but the tactics get in the way, and the absolutism gets in the way. Senator, I'll let you go on this. First of all, thank you very much for joining us.
It was nice of him.
And as somebody who was raised by a real one when it comes to Democrats, my father, politics was very simple for Mario Cuomo. Facts change.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Me too.
The bridge.
I hear him in my mind all the time. Facts change. Principles do not. And whether it's how you decide to present yourself, where you connect to your constituents.
Principles do absolutely do change. Principles absolutely do change. Sometimes you have to adapt to what's going on in society, and unfortunately, our president is Donald J. Trump, who you guys believe some sort of not a problem. I believe Cuomo or Bill, I think it's Bill O'Reilly who said that everything he does is blown up, but literally everything he does is almost borderline illegal to do. So whatever.
Take the beating that comes along with it. I think that's honorable, no matter what your party is. I just have one question as you go. Senator, do you still love public service? And if you knew when you first decided to run for Senate what you know now, would you have still done it?
Oh, yeah.